Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show, and we have returning back to the show Miss Judy Williams and Miss Sally Coleman, Mothers of Murdered Offspring. They're coming back to talk more about this big issue that we have in our community of murder with our children. Not only our children, but adults as well.
Yes.
Okay, what have you done? Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, for our first-time viewing audience. First, you.
My name is Judy Williams. I'm one of the co-founders of Mothers of Murdered Offspring. Mothers of Murdered Offspring started right in my living room. And since then, I just feel that this is a calling for my life to reach out and help families who have lost someone to murder. I have not personally experienced it, but God has given me an empathy for families and sympathy that allows me to reach out and help them.
Ms. Coleman.
My name is Sally Miller Coleman, and I'm the president of the chapter of Cabarrus County. We started in Cabarrus County in 2003. I had a son that was killed January the 9th, 1993 in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and I've been with Mothers of Murdered Offspring for 19 years.
And also in the audience we have Ms. Karen Parks. She'll be talking more about this issue as well. How you doing there, Ms. Parks? They'll be able to hear you.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Great. Thank you for coming on. Okay, let's talk about what have you done in the community to help in this growing issue that we're having?
One of the things that we've been doing, probably for about 15 or almost the whole time, yeah. We have been, we started doing candlelight services because what we found is that many of the victims were young, they were youth, and the young people would come out to remember their friend or their family member. And we have seized these opportunities to talk to them, to give them a way of venting their anger, their grief, just whatever was going on with them. It's like it became a comfort for them to be able to talk about their friend. So this was a way for them to vent that, so that maybe it wouldn't turn and them go do something, crazy while they were grieving that would take the life of somebody else. A lot of times, they would want to retaliate.
Correct.
So we would, it gave us an opportunity to talk to them and tell them, you cannot retaliate, because then you just perpetuate what we're going through right now. You just put it on another family. So, what we've been doing through the candlelight services, the keepsakes that we give out at the candlelight services, because everybody wants to hold on to a little piece of that person. So they have been, they love getting the some people have told me they've started a scrapbook, where they have all their friends' pictures in these scrapbooks. And the idea behind the candlelight services is to help them to deal with their grief. It's like a new form, a new way of helping people to deal with grief.
Sally, when you go into your community and you have these candlelight services, what does that do to you when you see the growing number of people coming to support that family?
It gives me a sense of caring. And as we also, we tell the people that's there, don't let this be the end of you supporting this family, because if you show that you care enough to come that day, continue to be there, continue to support them. And sometimes the community needs to heal also, because when murder happens, it doesn't just affect one person or one family. It affects the whole community. So when the community comes together in that way, it shows a positive statement instead of a negative one.
Okay, we're talking to our guest, Karen Parks. How they can hear you talking. Tell us a little bit about your story, about what happened to you.
Well, I was at work one day, and I was about to get off, and one of my employees told me that the policemen were out front looking for me, wanted to know if they could talk to me for a minute. And I thought maybe they were looking for one of my employees. But they came in and they told me that, but they wanted to know if I had a son named Charles Burke. I told them yes. They wanted to know about his car. I told them, the car that he had. And I asked them what was going on, and they said, well, they would get back with me. So when, long story short, the next thing I heard, next time I heard anything from the police, they came and they were asking me about identification marks of him, which he had a tattoo on his arm. And when I told them about the tattoo, then they told me they had found his body over by Concord Mills in his car. So, needless to say, it was just, everything went blank after that.
How are you learning to deal with the loss of a sibling?
Just putting one foot in front of the other. That's all you can do. You know, it's been 8 years. In the beginning, I was more focused on helping the police find out who did it. After that, everything was done. The court case was done. Then the grievance started then. So like, I cry now more than I did then. So, but it's okay though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ladies, as far as, do you see it as more of a black on black issue? Or, is it a race? Do we see more being involved when it's a white on black and a black on black? How do you see that?
Well, I think the numbers tell it all. The numbers say that we for some reason have keep turning the hostility more on each other than we are with anybody else. We don't hear about a lot of black on white crime. We don't hear a lot of white on black crime. Most of what's happening around the country is black on black crime. And I personally, I'm trying to get into this and figure out what is going on with us that makes us turn on each other like this. It's got to be some common element that's going around the country, because it's not just in Charlotte.
Correct.
It is everywhere, and some places have it even more so, like Chicago, Atlanta, New York, than we do. So what is going on with us that makes us turn on us? And we have got to figure that out. We've got to figure out, and I don't know if it's because nobody's saying anything. Maybe it's because it's coming across that, well, nobody cares if we kill each other, so let's just do it. Well, no, somebody does care. There are 3 ladies sitting in this room, and I'd like to thank you and the other people that are present, care about the fact that we are killing each other at record numbers. And we've got to find a way to help us to deal with our frustrations, whatever they may be, if it's because of the loss of a job, or if it's because you're having marital problems, or you're having problems with your children, whatever it is, it cannot result in the loss of life. We have got to find a way to put value back on life, because it's like people no longer care about a life. They think more about their car being dented by your shoe than they do about the fact that you just shot somebody because they dented your car. We have got to get our mind off of things. I still think it has to do so much with things and people not care. Maybe people don't care because nobody showed any care for them. And maybe it's we need to show more love. I don't know. I just know we've got to find that common element within our community that's causing us to see each other as less than human. Because I believe it's something in there that's causing us to see each other less than human. And that's why we can take each other's life so easily. And I have my own idea about that.
Correct. Sally?
I think that we need to learn how to love each other, but I also think that it starts in our homes. It starts in our churches. Stop turning our kids out to just do anything. And another thing, we need to be more aware of the people they hang with, the video games, the computer games, the cell phones, all the fads that come out, and just because your child wants it, you give it to them. I remember going into a courtroom and a judge asked the parent, how do you want your child to show remorse when he was growing up and he slapped you upside the head and you laughed and said, look at little Johnny. Or little Johnny kicked somebody and they said, oh, that was so cute, look at what little Johnny done. But when little Johnny grows up and put a gun in his hand and shoots somebody, you want him to come to the courtroom and show remorse when you never showed him that it's okay for a child to fall and get skinned and to cry. But we don't show children that anymore. Now if a little boy falls, the first thing you say is, get up, be a man. That's not a man. Because if a child falls and they get hurt, it's okay to pick that child up and let that child know that you love it. There's nothing wrong with telling our children we love them instead of just pacifying. We need to quit pacifying. We need to give love, give discipline, and let them know we love you. We love each other. We love each other because you are my brother. You are my sister. Whether we had the same birth mother or not, you are my brother and my sister.
I know we have a lot of support groups. How do y'all network with these support groups, not only in the judicial system, but other groups?
Well, we've been able to get tied into some very important groups that even help us to function. For instance, we are tied in with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, which is how we get our reports. We get reports on homicides, and we're now getting contact information. We used to have to go through so much to track down a family, and families would wonder, well, why wasn't Mama there? Okay, we didn't know. And now we get reports, we get a contact person that helps us to get right in touch with the family and get right in there from the beginning to, help them to get organized. And, one of the things we do is we help with not just, we don't just help with doing candlelight services. We do balloon releases at the cemetery. However, there is a helium shortage right now, so we haven't been able to do that.
Oh, okay.
But we help with doing programs. We have done programs, obituaries for the family. We help raise money. We don't have a lot of money to give, but we have no money to give. But we do have money that we actually have raised money for funeral services. So we don't just have just that element of just doing candlelight services. We want to be there to help you anyway we really can. But we have ties with the DA's office, and we're there to help families get in touch with their detectives. Sometimes right after, families don't always understand the judicial system. And that's another thing that we've been able to help them with, because, they think that, well, if I call the detective and tell him, well, so-and-so told me they saw this person doing this and they saw him do it, that the police is supposed to take that information and go out and lock that person up. Okay, they need to know that they have to have evidence. And they said, well, I told them to go talk to this person. I told them to go talk to that person. And why didn't they arrest him? Why didn't they arrest him? I said, you know what? They're always weighing the evidence. They want them off the streets just like you do. But what they have to do is weigh the evidence in getting a conviction. Mm-hmm. You don't want them to go into a courtroom and not have all their ducks in a row and the person walks. Okay, if they get found not guilty, you can never take that person to court again because of the laws of double jeopardy. You cannot take a person to court twice for the same crime if they are found not guilty. So what you want to do is be patient and allow them to do their job. Mm-hmm. You may have to wait until somebody get mad at the person and then say, I'm going to call the police and tell them what they did and I'm willing to testify. Okay, then you've got something going, but you just can't do it on hearsay, because if they could do stuff on hearsay, we would all be in trouble, because somebody could just say, I saw Paul Brown do it, and you'd be in trouble. Sure. So you got to have evidence. And we want to help them to also understand the judicial system and the way things are processed. And we do that. You got the police department doing it. You've got the DA's office doing it. Everybody's kind of working together to help the families also understand the judicial system.
I know there's something big in our community